Welcome to ESATV. This is your source for the latest news, trends, and thought leadership in energy storage. In this episode, we're looking ahead to the rest of this new year by bringing you insights from within the U.S. Energy Storage Association, as well as an in-depth interview from ESACon 21 conference host SunGrow. Please help me welcome the interim CEO of ESA, Jason Berwin. Jason, thank you for joining us on ESA TV.
Glad to be with you, Kimberly.
So, as we begin this new decade, what are the unique opportunities that energy storage presents to the U.S. economy, our energy infrastructure, and decarbonization?
Absolutely. That's what I think makes this the charging 20s. There are so many opportunities here, and it's really this twin set of challenges of decarbonization and resilience together, where energy storage is going to be playing a really significant role, right? Our infrastructure is faced with the challenge of adapting to weather extremes for which it wasn't designed. And we're seeing the proliferation of storage, customer-sided storage, for example, but also grid storage that is there to make our infrastructure more resilient to things like outages we've seen in Texas this year, wildfires in California that we've seen previously, hurricanes in Puerto Rico. This is just a trend of what's to come. And frankly, using energy storage is going to be central to making our electric system more resilient. In addition, of course, we see that in the effort to decarbonize our power system, there's a lot more electrification, not just of transportation either, although of course that will be the most of it, but also things like buildings and heat. And in order to do that, we're also going to need more forms of energy storage, not combusting fuels, in order to electrify our economy. And guess what? An electrified economy is also one where electric resilience becomes even more critical. And energy storage and the software to control it is going to be the central enabling technology for that massive coordination between the power system, the transportation system, buildings, and other parts of our infrastructure. And then, of course, the most significant work in many respects of this decade ahead is decarbonizing. And we are doing that with energy storage. On the generation side, turning carbon-free sources of energy like solar and wind power into reliably round-the-clock delivered energy. On the end user side, making sure that we are we are able to use the demand of our buildings and our facilities to interact with the grid system. And with those two things together, being able to be more harmonized with energy storage, we'll be able to unlock decarbonization at the pace that is necessary over the next decade.
So, with all of these developments and all of this momentum for energy storage this year, tell us why leaders in the energy storage industry should make plans to not only attend the virtual ESACon on April 21st and 22nd, but also the in-person conference in Phoenix, December 1st through 3rd.
Absolutely. If you want to follow the trends of the 2020s, decarbonization, decentralization, digitization, and automation, and the role energy storage is going to play in those, you need to be at these events. Our virtual conference on April 21st and 22nd. I'm really excited because we are going to be able to bring in folks from across the country and world in our virtual format to be able to have these conversations. I'm really looking forward, for example, to my keynote discussion with Hal Harvey of Energy Innovation and formerly the head of ClimateWorks, as we talk about what the next decade is going to bring and the role that energy storage plays in that future. As well as, of course, panels on things like, as I mentioned, resilience, integration of electric vehicles, having risk management in supply chains, again, another rising issue in energy storage. So if you need to get up to speed quickly on all of the major topics, get yourself to our virtual conference, especially because we are making it available publicly without charge. Of course, I think the most exciting thing for folks in our industry is after this long period of being apart from each other, to have an opportunity to come together again. And we are planning to do so in Phoenix in December 1st to 3rd. I really encourage all of you who are in the industry to start making your plans now. I am optimistic about the nature of our public health and our economy at that time. And I really look forward to saying hello face to face with so many of you in Phoenix in December.
It's certainly an exciting time for energy storage. Thank you so much for sharing these updates today, Jason, and we can't wait to see you at the upcoming ESA events.
Thanks, Kimberly. Glad to do it.
ESA offers a wealth of programming for the benefit of energy storage professionals. So to discuss this in more detail, please welcome Mark Chupka, who is the Vice President of Research and Programs at ESA. Thank you for being here, Mark.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So tell me, for anyone who may not be very familiar with ESA, can you fill us in on the programs that are the most accessible?
Well, I think the one that we're known for best is our educational webinar program. And these are webinars that we put on once a month. And typically, at least this year, it's the second Wednesday of each month at 1 p.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern. Every once in a while, we'll squeeze in a second webinar, depending on the timeliness of some topic that might arise. But we shoot for one per month. And we cover a broad range of topics. We have in the past done webinars on supply chains, hybrid facilities, microgrids, trade, FERC Order 2222, trends in utility planning involving storage. And this year, we've continued that tradition, and we've already had 4 terrific webinars. One looked at rules that pertain to hybrid facilities in regional transmission organization regions. One that looked at domestic supply chain. Another one had to do with financing storage facilities. That was quite an interesting one. And recently we did one on storage and the environment. And we'll be announcing topics for the rest of the year pretty soon, but we always try to keep it fresh, topical and timely. And we average about 300 registrations per webinar, most of whom attend live, while others wait for the recording and slides, which you can do if you register. So I'd urge you and encourage you to join us on these webinars. It's amazing how much good information we can dish up in 1 hour of your time. So please avail yourself of our webinar program.
So are there any plans to expand the programs this year?
Well, we're going to follow up on a very successful virtual planning seminar that we held in December of 2020. And this year we've scheduled 2 similar in-depth seminars. The first is scheduled for June 16th and 17th and is titled Transforming the Grid, Planning and Operating Energy Storage. The second virtual planning seminar will be held in November. We're also going to add another virtual seminar, this one on storage and solar, which is an increasingly popular combination, both in front of the meter and behind the meter. We're gonna have that in August. And finally, we are planning an in-person finance event this year for early in the 4th quarter. Stay tuned for this. We think it'll break some new ground for ESA in both content and format.
I know that these offerings are a benefit to everyone in the energy storage industry. And ESA also has some special benefits for members. So can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, there are many benefits of ESA membership, and some of them involve the programs. For example, the educational webinars are free to members and very, very popular with our membership. And also on the in-depth seminars that I discussed before, members get discounted pricing, just like they do to our conferences and other events. We do have some webinars that are exclusively for members, including a Wood Mackenzie briefing every quarter on their Energy Storage Monitor market report. You know, on top of the quarterly briefing, ESA members get discounted subscription prices to the Energy Storage Monitor. And that's not unique to Wood Mackenzie. ESA members also get discounted subscription to the Storage IQ policy report, which is issued by Customized Energy Solutions. So our programs are, while they're accessible to the general public, we do like to give our members special benefits and access to some of our programs.
Well, Mark, in a world where reaching people where they are is so vital, You and the ESA team are doing an amazing job getting these resources out to the professionals who need them. So thank you for your efforts and for being with us today.
Thank you, Kimberly.
There are lots of exciting things happening at ESA in the coming months. Let's take a look at what to expect.
On Wednesday, April 14th, Energy Storage, an essential environmental technology. In this webinar, you can learn from analyses and market experience about the impact energy storage has on environmental outcomes and how storage helps keep the grid operating reliably while enabling the expansion of renewable energy for decarbonization. On June 16th and 17th, Transforming the Grid, Planning and Operating Energy Storage. In this 4-part virtual seminar, you'll learn everything energy professionals need to know about energy storage, from planning and analyzing energy storage projects to managing risk and eventual decommissioning, providing valuable insights into this rapidly growing and ever-changing field. On April 21st and 22nd, it's virtual ESACon 21. This virtual conference features keynote conversations with leaders like Hal Harvey, CEO of Energy Innovation, Karen Wayland, CEO of Gridwise Alliance, and Gregory Whetstone, President and CEO of the American Council on Renewable Energy. The conference features more than a dozen featured and breakout sessions on topics from the basics of energy storage and policies to key issues in the industry, including the supply chain, decarbonization, and financing. On Wednesday, April 28th, it's the ESA annual meeting of the members. This virtual meeting is a great opportunity to learn from the organization's leadership about what's happening in the organization now and through the end of the year. Then on December 1st through the 3rd, in Phoenix, Arizona, it's the ESA Energy Storage Association Annual Conference and Expo. This in-person event will reunite buyers, sellers, investors, and developers from across the energy storage industry for an event focused on driving deals and business throughout energy storage. Phoenix is a must-attend in-person event for all leaders in the energy storage market.
Sungrow is a leader in energy storage, and we are thrilled to learn more from them today. Mitzi Zhang joins us now, who is the Managing Director of ESS at Sungrow. Mitzi, we are so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me today.
So tell me, what are some of the most important factors that made Sungrow successful in the ESS market? And how does Sungrow position itself in the ESS industry?
So Sungrow, let's just talk about a little bit of Sungrow history, right? Sungrow started business about 23 years ago, and we started as a power electronics company that making all power conversion devices. And it was very nature for Sungrow to get into renewable industry because that's going to be a very important piece of the entire renewable energy and industry supply chain. So I think one of the most important factor for Sungrow to keep the leading position and the successful in the past 23 years is actually the technology innovations in power electronics and battery management system and the thermal management, right? So those factors that really enable Sungrow to stand on the leading edge and keep having the new product to meet customers' demand and the requirements.
So in 2021, we have seen the battery capacity constraint across the industry. So has Sungrow taken any preventative actions? And how did Sungrow manage its supply chain to support its growth expectation?
So Sungrow has been taking a very proactive roles and also taking a lot of different approaches to try to mitigate the impact. As we know that, the constraint is more like a growth trajectory. It goes up and down. Always you will see this kind of things repeating in the future, and how we can prevent that. So Sungrow we call that no-sell strategy. In other words, we're trying to build an entire overall platform and enable different technology and a different product to be able to be integrated into the same platform. For example, if we had a problem with one technology and we can easily migrating to another technology, so that enable us to have a more flexibility in terms of selecting the right product for right customers. So this is from technology perspective. That's what we did, so-called no-sell strategy, and it really enables Sungrow to have a so-called wider spectrum of the selection of the technology to support our customers, right? No matter is LFP or MCM, if you're really familiar with the battery cell technology, that we all include them in our product family. So that's one of the most important things that we did in the past to really support or relieve the pain of the capacity constraint. And the second thing I would like to emphasize is Sungrow is really considering the global production plan. So in the 2021, one of another important factor is about the trade wars around the globe, and which give us a lot of pause or impediment, as you per se, that for the global trading, in which we don't enjoy to see that, but this is the reality we have to deal with. As a result, Sungrow has been taking a very proactive approaches to look into expand our production into the global, such as India, and also we look into other plans and production facility that it will enable Sungrow to support our global customer and the global business needs. So those are two major important things that we believe that we took and that effectively helped the Sungrow to get out of that capacity constraint.
So can you briefly tell us about some of the new products that Sungrow is going to offer to the market in 2021 or 22?
Sungrow has been, as I just mentioned in the past, Sungrow has always been in a leading position to promote energy renovation and also the innovation in the renewable industry. So we start with power electronics, but our innovation roadmap has been expanded into the entire spectrum of the energy storage, from the DC-DC conversion. So in the 2022, Sungrow gonna release our next generation of the liquid-cooled energy storage full turnkey platform, and which features a lot of the state of arts of DC-DC power conversion, and also we call that screen level management. And also we also introduced a lot of smart thermal management to really improve the product, the overall thermal performance. By doing that, I think our energy storage, energy density, and the overall performance will increase by 30% compared with our L-cooled, the older generations. So one thing I also would like to point out is Sungrow will release our next generation of inverter, energy storage inverter, we call the PCS. It's a 5 megawatt single PCS. I believe that 5 megawatt single PCS will be the largest in the industry by far. So again, we're putting another time we're leading the industry at the moment.
All right, let's go big picture now. So what is your vision for energy storage over the next decade?
You know, as you can see in the past, I've been involved in renewable industry starting from 2008 and the joined Sungrow in 2012. And we see a lot upside down. We see a lot of changes in turbulence in this market renewable. That's very normal for any of the new industry. So energy storage right now, I'm still consider energy storage as more like a toddler stage. We're not quite teenager yet. And we believe that it needs a lot of cares and need a lot of industrial leaders to work together to really make the industry to be more mature. So to be brief, I think the decarbonization, digitalization, and the decentralization would be the future trend. And energy storage are going to play a very, very important role in those areas.
So in the pursuit of the goal, 100 gigawatts by 2030, what will contribute the most to achieving this goal? And on the flip side, what are the biggest impediments?
Yes, that's a good question. So I think in order to achieve that ambitious goal, 100 gigawatts hour, there's a lot of things for the government and for the industrial leader that we all can do together to achieve that. So look into the future to achieve our goal. I think there's a multiple aspect we can looking at. The first one is really the policymakers, as we know that policy is very important to really help the renewable industry to form, to shape in the early days. We need a lot of support from ITC, from different subsidy, and also from the way how they trade, right? Make the project to become more economical. So I'm very glad to see that the Congress has already proposed a bipartisan ITC bill that is going. We believe that will be going to pass to really support the ITC to cover standalone storage, which is very encouraging news. So that's one example that the policymaker can really bring a positive impact to the industry. And second, I think that's even more important is our technology innovations. I think that's a fundamentally, that's a driving force to really help the industry to form and to shape and in a different way and to be more competitive. Compare with the fossil fuels, compare with other type of energy that we used to in the past 100 years, right? So without an technology innovation, none of those can be achieved. So innovation, technology, that's going to be the backbone structure for any of us, for any of the industry to be a grown up, right? Now, as I said, I just mentioned it with toddler, we're going through teenager process, we're trying to grow up. And the symbol of grow up, you need to be independent of different market, right? Independent of policy. You have stand up to compete with other forms of energies, right? So energy storage can really help it with our renewable industry to compete with the traditional energy, coal, fossil fuels, gas. So we're looking very promising from that perspective. I mean, different technologies can really help the whole industry to be more mature. Talk about the impediment, right? Definitely we see some hurdles, right? We see some hurdles. So I think I would say the hurdle we're facing is how to bring people's awareness of the cognition of how to adopt more renewable energy, right, in the past, and how we can open our arms to embrace the future of the renewable energy, right? Understanding the fossil fuels, the coal, burning the coal can really harm the environment, can really bring us catastrophic outcome, extreme weathers, and I would say the how to incentive the awareness of the renewable energy. That's going to be the most important task for anybody who work in this industry to promote, to help the people to understand.
A lot to look forward to and work for as we move forward in this new year. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us today. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been very pleasant to talk to you.
Let's take a look at what's happening at ESACon 21 and get an update from ESA's Sales Director, Justin Aquilante.
Thanks, Kim. 2021 has started off fast for Energy Storage Association. We just wrapped up our Policy Forum conference in January with over 300 attendees and lots of in-depth discussions. Next up for us is our virtual annual conference on April 21st and 22nd, followed that by the December in-person conference in Phoenix, December 1st to 3rd. We're really excited to announce that Sungrow has signed on to be the conference host for the annual conferences, both the virtual conference and the in-person conference in Phoenix. Currently, we have over 50 sponsors engaged in the conferences, so we're off to a great start there as well. We recently announced the Expo Hall floor plan, so companies are starting to engage in the Expo Hall floor plan. It's up online on our website. And lastly, and most importantly, we spent a lot of time refactoring the annual prospectus for sponsors. We've annualized the sponsorships, giving companies more control over how they use the benefits and when they use the benefits. Certain aspects like a blog post on our Energy Storage Association blog, as well as a company showcase, picking and choosing when they film these or when they post these to best suit their marketing needs. We're really excited again to announce that the Phoenix show is December 1st through 3rd. If you want to get engaged in either the April conference or the December conference in Phoenix, please contact sales@energystorage.org, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, that does it for this episode of ESA TV. Thanks for watching and take care.